Good morning, students. So, in previous class, we started with logical instructions, and we are on our chapter number 4, which is arithmetic, logical instruction, and programs related to it. So, now let's see today the next topic, which is serializing data. So, what is exactly serializing data? Serializing data is a way of sending a byte of data one bit at a time, and through single pin of microcontroller we are sending a single byte one bit at a time. See, if you have a byte of data, let's take an example. If you have a byte of data, 1 byte means 8 bit of data, and in that 8 bit of data, if you have 10H as your data. So 10H means 0001 0000. So every time one bit will be transferred, single bit will be transferred using a serial port. That is called serializing data. Controlling the sequence of data and spaces in between them is the main motive of serializing data. You are transferring a byte of data one by one. Not at a time whole byte of data will be transferred to your input-output peripheral. In 8051 microcontroller, we have 4 I/O ports, port 0, port 1, port 2 and port 3. So these I/O ports we will be using in serializing data. You can see here the instruction given to you is RRCA. What does RRCA means? RRC means rotate right through carry, and that data on which you are performing the rotate right operation will be saved in accumulator. Next instruction is move P1.3, C. Whatever the carry bit will be there, that will be shifted to the third bit of port 1. In port also we have 8 bit of space from 0 to 7. 8 bits are there. So for all ports, port 1, port 2, port 3 and port 0, you can have 8 bit of space. So P1.3 means third bit of port 1 you are saving as the carry bit. Whatever the carry output will be there, that will be moved to the third bit of port 1. So every bit you are transferring single at a time to the port, that is known as serializing data. You are transferring a bit by bit data serially one after the other to the I/O peripheral. Let's have an example. The program given to you is to transfer value 41H serially via pin P2.1. So on second port, first pin, you have to transfer every bit of data 41H. So let's load 41H into some register. So you are moving accumulator with 41H. Now set port to pin number 1 high so that it is ready to receive your output. Whenever you want to receive any output or you want to write data, you have to set that particular port high. Now you are having 8 bit of data. Total 41H means 8 bit of data is there. So 8 bit of data you are transferring 1 bit by bit at a time. So you have to run a loop having count 8. So you are creating move R5, #8. Now the loop starts from here. RRCA, every time you will rotate one bit of accumulator and one LSB will shift to the carry flag, and that carry flag we will load to the pin number 1 of port 2. So decrement and jump until R5 is non-zero. R5 will be non-zero up till 8 times. So 8 bits will be transferred one after the other in this looping manner. So this is the program of transferring one bit at a time, and you are running 8 times the loop to transfer every bit of data to the first pin of port 2. Same program has been given to you, but you have to write a program to bring a byte of data serially one bit at a time via pin P2.7, and you have to save it in register R2. Now here LSB will come first. So from LSB you have to start shifting your data serially one after the other. The same program is there. You have to rotate right with carry. So carry bit will be loaded with the LSB bit, and that carry flag you will transfer to the pin number 7 of your port 2. And finally that carry bit you will load in R2 register. There are several instructions in which carry flag can be manipulated directly. Set BC means carry flag will be set high. It will be set as 1. CLRC means carry bit will be cleared. CPLC means you have to complement the carry bit. So all these instructions are such instructions where carry flag will be affected. Carry flag status will be changed once all these instructions you are using, because these are related to carry flag. Few examples are given to you in this slide. You can see here, you can assume the bit P2.P means second pin of port 2. P2 means port 2 and dot 2 means second pin of port 2. You have to control an outdoor light, and bit P2.5 means fifth pin of port 2. Now you have to show how to turn on the outside light, and you have to turn off the inside one. So first you will have C flag high. You have to set the carry flag high, and from P2.2 means second pin of port 2 you will take the data in carry flag. You will perform ORing with the carry flag whether it is high or not. You will check that by performing ORing operation, and you will move the final data of carry into P2.2. Whether P2.2 is high or not, once you have performed ORing, the carry flag will be high, so you are moving that in P2.2. Now, CLRC means you are clearing the carry flag. Now, you will perform AND operation with P2.5. So whether it is set or reset, based on that, light will be turned on or off. So here you are ANDing the data of fifth pin of port 2 with carry flag. Carry flag was 0. So now this answer will be 0. So this carry flag 0 data will be loaded into P2.5. So outside light you have turned on, and inside light you have turned off. Outside light was P2.2 where you perform OR operation, and inside light was P2.5 fifth pin of port 2 that you turned off by performing AND operation. Same way the next program works. I am giving you this task. You have to understand how to write a program that finds the number of ones in a given byte. This program has been given to you as a task. If you are able to solve it, it's really great. Now understand how this program works and do let me know if you have any query. Next instruction is swap instruction. Now what swap instruction will do? Swap instruction will exchange the lower and higher nibbles. The lower 4 bits are put into the higher 4 bits and higher 4 bits will be put into the lower 4 bits. This way the swap instruction will work. Swap instruction works directly on accumulator only. You have to use the accumulator data directly for performing swap operation. You can see here the last 4 bit or the higher 4 bit will go to the lower 4 bit and the lower 4 bit will go to the higher 4 bit after performing swap operation. Now one example has been given to you. You have to find the content of register A. In absence of swap instruction, how would you exchange the nibbles? You have to write program for that. Here simply using swap you can say 72 will be converted to 27. But without using swap, how you will perform this? You have to shift this 72H by rotate left. Total we are shifting how many nibbles? 4 bits we are shifting. Higher nibble exchange with lower nibble exchange with higher nibble. So here 4 bits we are changing. You can see here 4 bits we are changing. So you have to perform 4 times left operation to swap your data. 4 times rotate left will give you the same answer. Now the next topic is checksum byte. How you will ensure whether your ROM content is having the same calculation which has been done with checksum byte. Now exactly what is checksum byte? You might have studied it in 8085, but let's revise. Checksum byte is that byte of data which you are adding with the total data of your ROM space and the final addition will give you data 00. That is the checksum byte data. Checksum byte data is that data which will finally give you output 00 once you are adding that checksum byte with the total data of your ROM space. The process of checksum byte will detect any corruption of content if present, and the checksum byte uses checksum extra bit which is tagged with the series of bytes of data. Let's take an example. If I have 4 data in my memory, 4 data I have present in my ROM space. One data is 10, second data is 20, third data is 10 and fourth data is again 20. So let's add all the 4 datas. So after adding all the 4 data 10, 20, 10, 20, so it will give you data 60H. Total data of your ROM is 60H. Now you have to perform 2's complement of 60H such that whatever answer you will obtain, if you are adding it with 60H, answer will be 0. So checksum byte is that byte of data which you are obtaining by performing 2's complement of total sum of your memory data. So 4 data was there present in my memory space. Total count or total sum I calculated was 60H. I have to take 2's complement of 60H and whatever answer I am obtaining, that is my checksum byte. And if I am adding that checksum byte with 60H, final answer will be 0. So now I will read whatever you are seeing in slide. To calculate checksum byte of series of bytes of data, you have to add all the bytes together and drop the carry bit. Now you have to take 2's complement of total sum. Once the total sum is ready, it becomes the last byte of the series. So after taking 2's complement of total sum, that particular byte will be treated as a checksum byte or last byte of the series. You have to perform checksum operation by adding all the bytes including the checksum byte. If the result is 0, then your checksum byte is correct, and if the result is not 0, that means there is some error in your data or your data has been lost. So this way, using checksum byte, we can detect whether there is an error in our data or not, whether our data is corrupted or it is clean. So this is a program, or you can see the example given to you for calculating the checksum byte. Now, let's see here, 4 data has been given to you, 25, 62, 3F and 52. Now, how you will find the checksum byte? How the checksum byte will be found out? You first add whatever data given to you. The total summation of all data given to you is 118. Now just drop the carry bit. After dropping the carry bit, your result is 18. You have to take 2's complement of 18. 2's complement of 18 is E8. So E8 is the last byte of your series. Now again you perform checksum operation. Performing checksum operation, you have to add data whole 25, 62, 3F, 52 and E8. So whatever is the final answer, dropping the carries, final answer is 0, 0. So dropping carry, final answer is 0, 0. So that means your data is not corrupted. Your data is clean. If instead of 0, 0, my output was some definite value like 1, 0 or 1, 8 or any data, then it means that you have calculated wrong checksum byte or you have incorrupt data. So this way you can check whether your data is corrupted or not by calculating the checksum byte. Again the same example has been given to you for checking the checksum byte. Here you can see final answer is C0 if I am dropping carry. That means final answer is not 0, 0. So your data is corrupted. Somewhere one of the byte of data has been corrupted. Next topic is packed BCD to ASCII conversion. Now this application is used in microcontroller wherever you are using RTC. RTC is real-time clock. Real-time clock is used whenever you want to indicate the time of your data. It will include that data in terms of hour, minute, second. You can indicate the time as well as you can indicate the date. Date will be in format of year, month and day. So this is an application of RTC where we are using packed BCD to ASCII conversion. So in short, in packed BCD to ASCII conversion, if data given to you in packed BCD is 29H, you have to simply first unpack that BCD. Unpacking that BCD will give you separate two numbers instead of 29. You have two numbers 02 and 09. Now you have to simply convert these numbers into ASCII format. So this way you can convert packed BCD to ASCII format. Now another one is the reverse process where you have to perform ASCII to BCD conversion. In ASCII to BCD conversion, you have to first take the ASCII number. ASCII number of 4 and 7 is 34 and 37. You have to first convert it into unpacked BCD. Once converting it into unpacked BCD, you have to convert it into packed BCD. packed BCD will give you answer finally 47. So this way you can perform ASCII to packed BCD conversion. Program has been given to you for converting BCD to ASCII conversion. Using the logical, arithmetic and rotate operation, you can perform this conversion. Today's task is to solve this program and you have to analyze how BCD to ASCII you are converting, and you will let me know if you have any doubts related to this program. But you have to follow the instruction given here and one by one check whatever the register content is loaded, and finally you are checking whether your BCD is converted into ASCII format or not. Final answer will be saved here in R2 register. So your today's task is to solve this program and to see how it works. Program has been already given to you in this video. You have to solve this program and you have to check whether packed BCD is converted to ASCII number or not. Another program is also given to you. So today you try to solve both the programs and let me know if you have any doubts. Okay, we are ending this session. Chapter number 4 we have completed here. From the next session we will be starting chapter number 5, which will be focusing on IO port programming, input output programming.